What's up, you guys? Happy 4th of July and welcome to the Manga Sutra Manga review. In this week's video, we're going to be talking about an action drama seinen manga called Shinjuku Swan. Now, Shinjuku Swan starts off with our main character Tatsuhiko Shiratori, penniless and bumming the streets. Now, after getting into a brief little fight, a man named Mako notices him and takes him out to eat. After noticing Tatsuhiko's innate talent, he invites him to become a scout at his agency, introducing our main character to the adult entertainment industry and the dark side of Shinjuku. This manga reminds me in several different ways of Sunken Rock because both of the main characters start out pretty much broke and painless and with radically wild hairstyles, and both main characters get invited to join some bigger group. With Ken, he was pretty much made the leader of the group right off the bat. And with Tatsuhiko, Mako pretty much just let him in and invited him to become a scout. And both of them are involved in a dark underworld, and both of them, Tatsuhiko and Ken, are both, at their very core, nice people, and they have a decent, strong set of morals and principles that they just won't buck no matter what. And that's what makes me love Tatsuhiko, because I read Sunken Rock before I read Shinjuku Swan. So when I was reading Shinjuku Swan, I just couldn't help but think that he reminds me so much of Ken, because even in the beginning, they hooked him up with a suit. That's the same thing that happened in Sunken Rock. They couldn't let him just walk around looking like a bum. They hooked him up with a suit, a Rolex watch, and everything. Tatsuhiko was hooked up with the same thing because he couldn't just be out on the street scouting these girls looking like a scrub. They hooked him up. And the other thing is, they both are headstrong guys. Ken, if he feels like you are a fucked up person or a bad person, he's not going to hesitate to punch the living shit out of you. He's not going to hesitate to let you know it. He's not going to hesitate to make it known. And the same thing can be said for Tatsuhiko, because Tatsuhiko doesn't really hold back. He's very blunt. It doesn't matter if he's talking to his superiors or a random stranger. He's very blunt and he's very upfront about how he feels. And Tatsuhiko acknowledges that there's some things he just doesn't understand, but that doesn't matter. And differences between Shinjuku Swan and Sunken Rock is, with Sunken Rock, it is heavily sexualized in several different parts, and it's just one of those fight type of things. Fight, train, fight, train, fight, train. There's a bigger enemy coming around the corner, this, that, it just keeps on. But with Shinjuku Swan, it takes a more realistic aspect where we have, Tatsuhiko, our main character, grinding and struggling. He's not getting paid, buku amounts of money like Ken is. He's not able to afford fancy cars and flashy apartments or hang out with models and stuff like that from the get-go. He's not immediately made the leader of some gang, And that's what sets these two apart. Because our character, Tatsuhiko, is still struggling. He's still working his way up the ladder. He's still working his way up the ranks. And another key difference in Sunken Rock and Shinjuku Swan is with Ken and his interactions with women and other people. Things usually work out for the best. People do get hurt, but Ken makes things right, and everything's all good and Gucci. But with Shinjuku Swan, and I'm going to be honest about it, I was reading Shinjuku Swan, I cried several times. I've never cried reading any other manga, but I've cried reading Shinjuku Swan. There was just moments where our character, Tatsuhiko, thought he was helping people, and he ended up hurting people. And that can also be a parallel to Sunken Rock, because in Sunken Rock, Ken, in the beginning, thought he did the right thing. He ended up hurting people, or people ended up getting hurt because of him, and he felt bad. And Tatsuhiko is the same way, except this isn't just a one-off thing like it was with Ken. This is a repeated thing where Tatsuhiko thinks he's helping people, he thinks he's doing the right thing, and he ends up, just making matters worse. But the thing is, Tatsuhiko's heart is in the right place. And with Shinjuku Swan, it isn't highly sexualized, although it is about the adult entertainment industry. You aren't going to be having like copious amounts of sex scenes and nudity going on here and there. you're going to be hearing talk of sex workers and shops and loan sharking and yakuza and stuff like that. But it's not going to be overly glamorized like Sunken Rock is. It is, to an extent, more realistic and more down to earth and more real life, or true to life, basically. Because with Sunken Rock, sure, Ken had to grind a little bit, but Ken just kept getting extravagantly and exponentially richer and more powerful and influential as the time went by. And it was just, at some point, you're just like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. He just keeps moving into different ventures, and it was, the way he did it was just so, it was so quick. I just felt like with Sunken Rock, things progressed a little quick, and it was just mostly fighting. It was mostly just fighting, training, enemies, bosses, stuff like that. With Tatsuhiko and Shinjuku Swan, it's more about the characters and the development and the connections between the characters and the conflicts that they get into. So I would read Sunken Rock for the action and the sexual scenes, but I would definitely keep reading Shinjuku Swan for the characters, for the development, for the plot and the story, because, like I said, I've cried several times reading Shinjuku Swan, because there's just some really hard, touching scenes in there that is just really sad. And it's just really sad with some of these characters and their backstories, and I just feel bad about that, because that could be applied to anybody's life in this world and in certain amounts of certain neighborhoods and societies. But the artwork for Shinjuku Swan, I have to admit, in the beginning, the first few chapters was just poor. It was just poor. It was just poor. And somebody pointed out for me, you have to stick with it. You have to stick with it. You just have to get through the first few chapters. Trust me, it gets better. And I did. I listened to them, and the artwork does get exponentially better. It gets exponentially better, and is definitely worth bearing the low quality art style in the beginning, because it starts to improve and it starts to get more refined as time progresses, and it's just worth it. It's just worth it. That's all I can say to you. I would recommend buying it. I would recommend reading it. Just go for it. This is VM. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Also like my Facebook page, and if you like this series, tell me what other manga that you think I should read. Bye.